It's Michiel of Elektra and Ray Nijenhuis. Hey,
Good
Ray.
morning.
Thanks for having us. So, we're live, I guess. You want to share this? Here we are in the snowy town of Hengelo. And we have here a magical combination. Magical for me. This is the combination of what I've been working for the past couple of years, I would say. What we see here is Ray Nijenhuis, one of the Dutch specialists in Western swing, Charlie Christian, the pre-war era and the 40s, 50s era. Yeah.
Pre-war electric.
Pre-war electric
Roots music.
Blues,
Blues,
swing, jazz, swing. Yeah, so that's your cup of tea completely, I would say. And you brought with you an original ES-150 and an original EH-150.
The setup as it was
Holy
sold.
Grail setup, Holy Grail combination from that era.
Yeah.
And I brought here the Elektra 185 with the Slaman DS-250. So we're here to kind of see how that works together, compare the two guitars, compare the two amplifiers, you know, just give it a run through, see what we find, what differences, where do they meet, where are they different in character. So let's see how that works out. For us, it's also a exploration. We haven't done this before in this setup, so let's see how it works. Yeah, all right, you want to play something first?
Yeah, so we used the ES-150 and the amp, which was a match sold by Gibson as a, well, you bought the guitar and the amp,
Yeah.
and this is what you got. Stop?
No, continue. Yeah, we have to continue, I guess.
Yeah.
But my body is tingling with excitement when I hear what you're playing and when I hear this tone.
Well, it's all on the guitar. Right?
Yeah, yeah. It's the combination of you, the guitar, and the amplifier, and that makes it, you know, it starts to sizzle. When you dig in, you hear just, it starts to give a little roar that.
Well, that's where the
find hugely pleasing.
The magic for me in the guitar and the amp,
Yeah.
or in guitars and amps from that era, is the dynamics, and
Right.
that I can, if whatever I put into it, I'll get back from the combination. So
Yeah.
whether I caress the strings, or if I want overdrive,
Yeah.
I play harder.
Exactly.
I do not use any kind of pedal. Well, there's a tuner on the floor, but if I want volume,
Yeah.
I play harder. Like when you play classical guitar or acoustic steel string. If you want more volume,
Yeah.
it's you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That's what it's about. So all the dynamic, all the contrast is in the fingers, is in the picking.
And where you pick.
Yeah.
And
And where you pick on the guitar. Yeah.
For example, when you want that Charlie Christian pop,
Yeah.
that typical, what I call flugelhorn, or sometimes even trumpet-like attack of the tone, which has, instead of a harsh twangy sound, you get that mid. That's really what I'm. If I try one of whichever guitar I try, whether it's in a shop, a new one,
Yeah.
if I'm curious about it, I always look for something that, you know, this kind of.
Exactly.
that turns me on. Still does after all these years.
Yeah. Awesome. So now we're here to check, to experiment with how does that translate from your 70-year-old setup into this modern interpretation of this setup. So let's see how that
It's almost
works.
80, right?
Almost 80, right, yeah, we're 2017.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah. So that's what we're here to figure out, to see if that is there, if we capture that essence in the Elektra and the Slaman guitar. So, what do we have? We have someone coming in. Hey there. Hey guys, thanks for joining. So, you want to give this one a try?
Shall we try the Slaman through the vintage amp, or directly now we do the full modern setup, the Slaman in your amp as a contrast?
Yeah, let's do that as a contrast. Let's see how far apart they are in that sense.
Maybe they're not.
Perhaps. A little bit of caution here because they are two different guitars. The Slaman is inspired on the DS-250. It's the ES-250 interpretation of Daniel Slaman, which is the 17-inch body versus 16-inch with the ES-150. So there will be some differences in the
and the ES-250 was, of course, as many of you will know who are watching now, the more upgrade version by Gibson of the ES-150.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what first thing I hear and first thing I want to do is get a little bit of the treble off.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first.
Yeah. There are two ways to do that. So one way would be to take the treble away on the guitar. The other could be to increase the bass on the bass on the amp.
What we're going to do now, it's still on full here.
All right. So let's turn up the bass a little here.
Yeah.
So let's see how it works.
It's more towards what I'm after. It's there, but still, I would be happier with it if it has a little bit less treble.
Right.
So I'll try it here. It doesn't do much in the first.
No, so there's a long range where you have relatively, mild effect, and then in the last bit you'll really hear a big change.
Something's rattling here in the kitchen.
It's the living room setting.
Yeah.
So you'll have cutlery and swine for the air.
Yeah, I have the treble off now.
Yeah.
Well, not fully off, but kind of like, and I hit it here near the bridge, and that's here. Now it starts coming.
Yeah, that's it. So it's almost that nasal sound.
Right.
That
Right.
trumpet-like sound. There it is. So what did you change with respect to that setup? What did we have to do? You rolled off the highs on the note there and increased the bass response on the amp a little.
Yeah.
And that got us in that same territory.
Yeah, and the volume is not on 10. It's I would say I'm I'm not really familiar with this guitar, so this is the first time I play it now. So this, I would say it's on 9. The volume is on 9 out of 10.
All right. So what happens when you turn it up to 10? You just did. It's clipping.
I'm sure it's clipping.
A lot more.
And that puts me right in the 40s bluesy recordings of you know, maybe a little bit too distorted for people like Tiny Grimes, but it's certainly too distorted for I would say this is not how Charlie Christian sounded. He didn't sound that distorted. The character is there. Yeah, but that's what happens when I turn on the volume on the guitar. If I turn it down a little bit, like I said, like a 9 out of 10, cleans up and it gives me that. That growl. Yeah. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So we got that character, and then there's a little bit more that will get you into the more bluesy territory. But it takes some minute tuning, tweaking of the knobs of the guitar and the amp to get in the territory of the DH150.
Yeah, and do I understand correctly that we're both plugged into the instrument channel, not the hot microphone channel?
Exactly.
Not even.
Not even. So this is the instrument channel.
Yeah.
And over there you find that you have control to drive it into that distorted area. And when you roll it a bit, it cleans up and you're back in this Charlie Christian territory.
Exactly. When I had it on 10, I was not only did I have the volume, on 10, but I also played kind of hard. If I turn it up to 10 and caress the strings, it's like what we started with. The statement, all the volume and drive is in the fingers.
Right.
Makes sense now. It's just digging in instead of turning up.
Right. That's it.
So, and that's what I like for this kind of music. I mean, we're not talking about Telecasters and
no.
We're talking about hollow body, full hollow body guitars, low power amps.
Yeah. Right. Low power.
Relatively low power. And being in control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Full control in the fingers, in the controls you have on the guitar.
Which are not so limitless.
They give you a lot of range. After all. Right. Awesome. So, what other combination would you like to give a word on?
Oh, now that I have this guitar on my lap, let's put the Slaman into the old amp, the vintage amp.
Yeah, let's do that. So I'll turn this one down so we can switch.
All right, let's switch cables.
Sorry.
This is the first time you do it, right? You never plug a guitar into an amp.
I always do it like this. I just short the tip of the ring with my finger so you don't get that snap when you plug it. And then I slide it in, for the little hum. It won't destroy itself or your eardrum.
Well, I'm eager to hear what this gives me. So this is the, let's say, modern vintage guitar from 2009, I think you said. And the amp from the late 30s. First thing I'm thinking now is I need a little bit more treble. This is too muffled.
Yeah, muffled. Right.
So I turn it up to 10.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I see it smile.
I see a smile.
Yeah.
that's not the first thing I do. I don't turn up the volume to 10 right away. I always try to stay with, give me a little bit of extra if I need it.
Exactly.
So let's go back to 9 out of 10 again. I've turned it up. For some reason, I need to turn it up a little bit more in comparison to the that guitar.
You need a little bit more output from the takeoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's just in my head. I'm new to this guitar.
Sure.
I know that one pretty well. And that's, you know. So, but anyway, it's there.
The sound is there and the character is right there. Right. Awesome. And now I want to see the other combination.
See
the
and hear.
And hear, of course. Yeah, I see with my ears a lot.
And so what we do now is I'll give you the Slaman awesome guitar, and now I'll try Gibson, and we'll plug it into the Elektra.
Okay. Here we go.
And 9 out of 10. And first impression, exactly as my first impression with the combo, the combination of the Slaman guitar and the Elektra amp is, I need to roll off a little bit of treble.
Right.
Whether we do it here or on the amp,
Maybe it doesn't matter, but it's set the same way as
Same
it was
way.
with the Slaman.
okay, so you already rolled off a little bit of treble.
Actually, I boosted the lows a little.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
now you roll up the treble in there.
which is on 10 here. The last bit where interesting that where with this guitar, the Gibson guitar and the Gibson amp, I almost need to pick the strings as close to the bridge as possible to get that sparkling. And here with the Elektra, there's more. It's a wider range, so there's more high.
Right.
So instead of going here, I'll go there. But that also changes the character.
It does, yeah.
Here's
I can tell.
Yeah.
So my impression was, listen, you rolled up the highs completely on the guitar, almost completely.
Almost completely.
I lose a little bit of that definition that you had in your combination. I would be inviting you to boost the treble a bit, but you say that it's also in the place where you pick it.
Oh, definitely, because if I turn down the volume completely and play it acoustically, you can hear that.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
So where you pick the strings, where you hit the strings, is for me is that's what it's all about. At first, right? So initially, you need to know where the sweet spot is.
Right.
And then the amp comes in. So now 9 out of 10. No? Yeah. 9. And the treble is, what did you say? You think I should boost it a little bit more?
Boost it a little bit to get more.
For my taste, this is a little bit too much. Because it starts to sound a little electric.
Okay.
To my ear.
Ah, that's what you.
Yeah. So if I turn it down just a hair. Even so, still. very interesting. It takes some time to get well, to adjust. You know, there's so many details that are involved and that influence what comes out of the speaker. So,
Exactly.
as I said before, I know exactly how to work with this amp and this guitar, and this is new. But it's, although the word new is not something that I prefer. I prefer the word old, but still, new. The interesting thing is that this is a new amp, and you can make it sound old.
Exactly.
And the general new stuff, I have a hard time finding that old sound.
Exactly.
And the good thing is with this, that is, yeah, it sounds like something that will work right away.
Yeah.
Put me on stage with this guitar and that amp, and I'm having a ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Then you're there.
Yeah, and it's not as
Yeah.
fragile as this. You know, this is always tricky stuff. Always something can happen with that. But this is sturdy and it's hard as a rock. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So what interests me is explore what might be the source why you need to roll up the highs so much. So
Okay.
the circuit is essentially identical to a later version of the DH-150. So there's a small difference there. The biggest difference I would say between the two is the speaker.
Yeah.
So you have an almost 80-year-old speaker there, and this is a 2013 Weber speaker.
And I think very important. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No
but
worries.
the type of speaker. Not only is it a new speaker in your new amp, but this is a field coil speaker.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have no idea how to, in technical terms, Michiel can update you on that. But
That may be something for a different setting, but there's clearly a difference between the old technology speaker that's 80 years old and the new technology speaker that's from 2013. So you'll find that there is obviously a difference there in the whole speaker response. So the data for the modern speaker, you need to roll up the highs either on the amp by losing the load or on the guitar by rolling off the highs.
can I say that, in a way, that the natural compression of the old vintage, I should say, field coil speaker kind of smoothens the harsh top end of the guitar. So I'm trying to eliminate. I'm trying to simulate the way the field coil compresses by turning down the treble through a modern speaker.
Right.
Could that be correct?
Yeah, that's sort of what you're doing. So but if I'm thinking electrically,
Yeah.
then the field coil would actually pronounce that picking effect, that sharp picking effect, if the cone of that speaker were fresh and crisp. So then it would actually emphasize on that particular bit, whereas here it's already there because it's a fresh speaker. So I think that's what's happening. So this speaker will give you more than you really need to get that sound.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Okay, I see on the clock on the wall out of image that we're already way past 15 minutes. So
Ready?
yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
We're going to go on, have a lot more fun, and wrap the video up for now. I can't see your comments at the moment because that phone is way too far away from me. I guess I need glasses. But
Hey, that's what you're wearing.
yeah, thanks. We'll come back with another video to see what you guys wanted to know as well. For now, we'll wrap up. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.